It was a cold winter night when Fireman Thomas was called to fight a fire at a hospital. He and his team quickly arrived at the scene, finding a chaotic scene. The flames had spread across the floor where the newborns were kept, and nurses were struggling to get them out of the building through the smoke. Be well to our channel. Sign up for lots of amazing stories. Leave your like and comment to help the channel. Without hesitation, Thomas and his colleagues entered the burning building. They advanced through the darkness, guided only by sirens and the sound of roaring flames. When they arrived at the newborn ward, they found a desperate scene. Babies were crying, nurses were trying to get out with crowded prams, and flames danced menacingly around them. It was then that Thomas saw something that froze him. In one of the incubators, a newborn baby was alone, crying. Thomas approached and saw that the child was trapped by the cables of the medical equipment. Time was short and the situation was critical. Thomas knew he couldn't leave the baby there to die. Without a second thought, he approached the incubator and set to work freeing the baby. The fire was spreading fast, and Thomas knew he had to act fast. He managed to free the child and scooped her up in his arms, shielding her from the fire as he ran out of the burning building. After the fire was brought under control and the babies were taken to another hospital, Thomas was stunned by what had just happened. He had never saved a child so young before, and he felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude that he had managed to make a difference. But life went on, and Thomas continued his work as a firefighter. He married, had children, and created a full and satisfying life. However, there was something on his mind that was bothering him, a question he could never answer: what happened to that baby he saved from that fire? 20 years have passed, and Thomas is now a mature and respected man in his community. He still worked as a firefighter, but he was now a mentor to young people entering the profession. He was a happy and fulfilled man, but there was still this question that nagged at him, this feeling that he had left something unfinished. One day, Thomas received a message from a young man who was looking for his biological father. He had been adopted as a baby, and now he wanted to know more about his origins. Thomas agreed to help him, and began to investigate. He scoured files, contacted former colleagues, and looked for clues. And then, finally, Thomas discovered the truth. That baby he had saved from that hospital fire 20 years ago was his son. I was shocked to discover this, but I also felt a profound joy and relief. He couldn't believe that somehow fate had arranged for him to save his own son's life. Thomas looked for his son, who was now an adult, and made an appointment. When they finally met, there was an instant connection. The son, named Jack, was a kind and curious man, and he was delighted to learn that his hero was also his biological father. Thomas explained how he had found Jack, telling the story of the hospital fire and how he had saved him from certain death. Jack was thrilled to hear the story, and felt a deep sense of gratitude that his father had saved his life. Thomas and Jack spent hours talking that day, sharing stories and memories. Jack learned more about his biological family and his father's job as a firefighter, and Thomas was relieved to finally have found his long-lost son. Over the next few years, Thomas and Jack became close. They met often, sharing happy times together and supporting each other through difficult times. Jack also became a firefighter, following in his father's footsteps and working to protect his community. For Thomas, the discovery that he had saved his own son's life was one of the greatest thrills of his life. He felt the deep gratitude for fate and life, knowing that even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty, goodness can still flourish. And for Jack, the discovery of his biological father and his connection to the firefighter profession became a source of pride and purpose, inspiring him to make a difference in his community. This story of love and connection, of a father who saved his own son's life, is a reminder that even in difficult and uncertain times, kindness can prevail and love can flourish. It's a moving and inspiring story that reminds us of the importance of protecting and cherishing our loved ones, and how life can surprise us with the beauty and grace of its unexpected connections.